The mystery deepens as Bryan and Finola attempt to right what has gone wrong and prevent the fabric of reality from unwinding. Hello, everybody. I'm Steve from VALHARTV, and today I'll be reviewing Debris Episode 10. Debris returns with the conclusion of its first two-parter. We open to a nice twist, too, in this one. And we see Bryan go back in time and switch to another reality. And this time, he's the one explaining things to Kathleen, which is Shelby's sister. So I actually thought that was kind of interesting and really kind of a neat little twist here. In the last episode, we stayed with Bryan through many increasingly more stressful timelines. But this episode, it was Finola's story to tell. So we really shift gears in this. Finola takes the reins and talks to Kathleen when when Bryan attempts another jump, right? So now it's Kathleen, or it's Finola who is talking to Kathleen about what is happening. And even Kathleen isn't really sure what's kind of going on, but she recognizes the last name Jones. And she really tries to explain things to Finola, but, Finola doesn't believe her at first, because this is a different Finola from a different reality. It's not the one that Bryan originally came from. So, she's going through, but I'm honest, like, with the help of Bryan and Shelby, she kind of comes around, and at this point, the tears in reality are so bad that they're pretty much all over the house. Like, the house is almost engulfed in them. As they go outside, you can see it just, like, appearing around the house more and more. And they continue to do jumps, even though George Jones is telling Finola not to let her, not to let anybody do this because it'll destroy reality. But he contradicts himself, too, in this a little bit, as you'll find out. But it was very, very interesting, of like how they did it. And we get to see, like, each of the realities in this as, like, like in the picture here, they're blurry, but then they, as it shimmers and goes around, they start to come, to be, more visible. And then they, then all of a sudden they kind of fade away and come back, which I thought was fantastic. But, at the end of this episode, we see things appear to be back to normal. And this I thought was great because we really don't know if things are back to the way they were. It's and that's the best part of, like, time loops and reality changing, like events in different shows, is you just don't know if everything's literally back to the way it was or if something got changed in this. In each of the realities, due to their jumps. Honestly, it really reminded me of Sliders. And that brings me to my next point. In my review of episode 9, I said that this debris, to me, felt like a monkey's paw, like type situation where you kind of made a wish and it granted it, but it also took something, And I was wrong, about that. Like, this debris, even Bryan still thinks that it's tied to a specific emotion, like desire, and like what, your innermost desire is, and that you have to figure it out even if you don't know it. But at the same time, it doesn't seem like it is. So this both episodes 9 and 10 were more like the Sliders. Like they jump from reality to reality, trying to get back to their home, to their own reality. And that's what, like, Sliders was about. And that's what this really reminded me of this time, too. Like, after watching this, I was like, yeah, I was wrong. This was more like the Sliders. It based, like that, where they keep going to try to get back to their own reality, but they're just jumping from one to another, hoping that they're going to get back. And that's what that's what I really think this was more about. The realities bleeding into each other was great. Honestly, it wasn't perfect looking, but it was still good looking. You know, you could see like the surfaces were wavy and blurry at times, but then they would come into focus, but then they would shimmer right back out, and some of them would disappear and then reappear with different realities. So I thought that was pretty good. And the acting in this was great. Again, we get all the facial expressions from Bryan and Finola again, where they're literally genuinely look like they're mystified by everything. You know, they're just coming back into it. You know, especially Finola. She has never jumped before, and so she's like meeting this person that she has no clue who it is, but they know who she is. They're like, oh, your last name is Jones. Do you know George Jones? She's like, how do you know my father? He's dead. You know, and or things like that, where every reality was slightly different. So it was very interesting to see like all her reactions, and I really thought she shined in this episode too. I really liked how she handled things. This episode, we see a few more realities from Finola's perspective again. You know, like this was really her time to take the reins and show what she can do without Bryan. And, even though they did help in the end, it's just, from her perspective, everything was changing and different, and she was just out of her element. Like, she literally looked like she was out of her element the entire time, which I thought was phenomenal. And then we also see, like we can't really tell if everything's back to normal either. Again, that's the best part about like these kind of events in shows is like you don't really know if something was slightly changed or if it wasn't. So I thought that was very good. I'm trying not to do spoilers, but we do see something in this episode that hints to whether if like this reality is changed or if it's back to normal. So I thought that was very interesting and very very cool. I also feel like this episode was a turning point for Bryan and Finola. Even if I don't think they know it yet, but I think this is really a turning point for them in their partnership. I don't think Bryan is in love with her. Like, I know, like, other people in other reviews have said that they feel like there's a romantic connection. I don't really think that's what it is. I honestly think it's a partnership that's forged with having to trust somebody with information that nobody else has. Like, if you can't trust other people, you have to trust your partner, and I think they forged that kind of bond like that where they're loyal to each other too. So I really liked this episode. I'd give it an 8 out of 10 easily. This was a good conclusion to their two-parter. If you guys like what I do, please hit the like button and also subscribe, as I'll be bringing more content each week, and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this episode. Take care for now, everybody.